Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. Please visit our website, cscatlanta.org, for a complete list of live and recorded events. We invite you to sign up for our newsletter to stay connected to all future programs.
All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lauren. I'm the program director here with Cancer Support Community Atlanta. Today, we are going to have a great nutrition seminar on optimizing nutrition throughout the cold and flu season. Blair Avendano will be presenting today, and Blair is the Oncology Nutrition Coordinator with Northside Hospital Cancer Institute. Thank you, Blair, for joining us, and I'm turning the floor over to you now. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, and welcome to all of you. Good afternoon now. And I don't know about y'all, but up until about, was it yesterday or the day before, this particular topic didn't seem very apropos because it's been so mild outside and we've had such, warm weather for so long. But as of today, it certainly feels like it's time for this topic, as we are unfortunately entering the cold and flu season. With all of the holidays and goodness does come cold and flu. So I'm going to be talking a little bit today just about the immune system in general. It will be a little bit science heavy and discussing some pathophysiology. We're also going to be discussing factors that affect the immune system, as well as foods that are going to support your immune system. And then certain foods that we may not want to eat, as it could decrease immune function. And, gosh forbid, if we do get the cold or flu, I'm going to discuss how to mitigate nutrition symptoms that are associated with both the cold and the flu. So the immune system in and of itself is a network of complex stages and pathways in the body that protect us from harmful microbes as well as certain diseases. And it's not just a specific type of our body, but it does function as an entire system. There's two types of immunity for humans, both innate and adaptive. And the innate immunity, that's what you want to think of as a protective barrier. And we do have several parts of our body that are included in the innate immunity. So when you think about barriers, it's our skin that's going to keep out the majority of pathogens, mucus that's going to trap those pathogens, stomach acid will destroy them, enzymes in our sweat and tears that help create antibacterial compounds, as well as immune system cells that attack all foreign cells entering our body. So that's the first part of immunity. And the second is adaptive, or also known as acquired immunity. And it's a system that when a foreign substance enters our body, these particular cells and organs create antibodies and that lead to multiplication of immune cells that are specific to the harmful substance that is entering our bodies and attacks and destroys it. So there are some certain factors that are going to decrease or depress our immune system. Unfortunately, as we age, our organs become less efficient and they may produce less immune cells needed. Also, with aging, it can lead to micronutrient deficiencies, which may worsen a declining immune system. Any toxins in our environment, like smoke or air pollution, can impair the normal activity of our immune cells. And just by having excess weight on our body can be associated with chronic inflammation, and our fat tissue can produce adipocytokines that can promote inflammation. And there's also some research on the horizon that states that obesity may impair function of T cells, which is a type of white blood cell that functions in our immune system. Poor diet quality. So when you think of malnutrition, a lot of times we think of somebody who is potentially emaciated or not eating at all. But we have to remember that malnutrition can also come from just eating very poor quality foods. I'm going to go over that here in a little bit, but an excessive intake of sugar, alcohol, or ultra processed foods that are just not very nutrient dense can lead to malnutrition and compromise our immunity. Also, chronic diseases. So if you have an autoimmune or immunodeficiency disorders, that can impact your immune system. And this is something to be careful about this time of year, is chronic mental stress can release hormones like cortisol that can suppress inflammation that is required to promote immune response. So it's important to get our stress under control. And then also making sure that you're getting an adequate sleep and rest, because a lack of sleep and rest can also impair your immune system. So on the other hand, what can we do to help our immune system as far as lifestyle changes are concerned? So this is in conjunction with a healthy diet, making sure that we're washing our hands often and then following food safety guidelines. And if you attended any of my other seminars, I typically touch on food safety guidelines. So that's just rinsing all of your fruits and vegetables very well underwater. Even if you get a salad in a bag and it says already washed, you're going to want to wash it again and throw it in the salad spinner or colander just to make sure that we're getting rid of those pathogens, as well as working to avoid cross-contamination. So if you're cutting raw chicken on a cutting board, you're not going to want to cut vegetables on that same cutting board. Also, not smoking, a healthy diet, which we'll talk about here in a second. Exercising regularly, so regular movement can help promote an active and healthy immune system. It says here 30 minutes a day, but much less exercise in this can actually be very helpful. The American Institute of Cancer Research recommends about 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise. And so if you were to break that down, it could be 5 days a week of 30 minutes a day, and you could walk 10 minutes 3 times a day, and then you would meet that exercise requirements. The American Institute of Cancer Research also says that you could do 75 minutes of more intense exercise. So that'd be something like running. If you're not at a healthy weight, making efforts to get to a healthy weight or to maintain a healthy weight if you're already there. Avoiding alcohol, prioritizing sleep, so trying your best to get in 7 to 9 hours per night. I'll have some patients say, oh, but I don't need that much. But the reality is all adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep per night. And as I mentioned before, minimizing stress. Exercise does that. So that would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone here, as well as meditation, writing, listening to music, whatever works for you. Everybody's different. So we're going to focus more so now on nutrition and its impact on the immune system. So our immune system needs well-nourished cells in order to operate efficiently. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in a minute, but there is no superfood or no single nutrient that's going to really promote your immune system to be healthful as a whole. It's going to be a combination of foods that is going to achieve that. So certain dietary patterns may better prepare the body for microbial attacks and excess inflammation. So this is going to be like a Mediterranean style diet or a plant-centric diet or plant-based diet with some lean protein foods, and I'll go over that here in a bit. And the body's immune system response relies on many micronutrients. And so that's going to be vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals as well. And so if we're deficient in any vitamins, minerals, or phytonutrients, that may also impact the immune response. So these are some of the most important nutrients that affect and impact and build the immune system. So you'll note that these are all available from the foods we eat. You don't necessarily have to have a supplement for any of these. Protein, unsaturated fat, prebiotics, probiotics, vitamins like vitamin A, B12, B6, folic acid, C, D, and E, minerals such as copper, iron, selenium, and zinc, and also phytochemicals can be helpful to build up the immune system. They all have their own specific functions working on various and different parts of the immune system against different types of attacks. So some may work more on viral, some may work more on bacteria, and others may decrease inflammation as well as oxidation. They're also used to make enzymes, immune cells, barriers, or tissues that help the immune system. So these next 3 slides are going to depict and give you a list of sources of nutrients and different types of foods that are within each category. The first nutrient on this page is protein. So the protein that we eat is broken down to make components of the immune system. You can get it from either animal proteins, plant proteins. Some examples are listed here. We have your low-fat dairy, lean meats, chicken, fish, turkey, tuna. Seafood, also plant-based proteins, your beans, peas, soy foods, unsalted nuts and seeds, and bone broth. And for a lot of people, it is hard to get in their recommended amount per day, and everybody's different in what they require based on their height, their weight, their activity level, any comorbidities or diseases that may be going on. So some of my patients do have to take, protein powder or protein shakes and things of that nature to get their protein needs in. Also, unsaturated fats are good because they are anti-inflammatory and cardioprotective, so they also protect your heart. They're found in nuts, seeds, avocado, oils, and fatty fish. So olive oil specifically provides protection from bacteria, viruses, and oxidation. Omega-3 fatty acids, which you can get from fatty fish like tuna and salmon, sardines, and plant fats as well, like chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, and walnuts, may provide extra protection from respiratory infections. Prebiotics are fiber that feeds helpful bacteria in our gut, and we want our beneficial gut bacteria to flourish, and this will also keep harmful bacteria from spreading and may protect against colon cancer and respiratory infections. So this can be found in a lot of foods that we eat frequently: oranges, beans, oats, asparagus, bananas, wheat, garlic and onion, if you put a little bit of that in your foods as well when you're cooking. Seaweed, if you do sushi, Jerusalem artichokes, I don't know if any of you eat those, but that's a good source of prebiotics. And then next, your probiotics, and that's yogurt, kefir, kimchi, miso, sauerkraut, and kombucha. So these are living microbes that help replenish our gut bacteria, and they're all fermented products that are very good for our gut health. And then vitamin A, and studies show that vitamin A protects our gastrointestinal tract, skin, and lungs, and it's being studied for a probable role in preventing pneumonia and excess intestinal permeability. And we can get vitamin A from the items listed here, like dairy, your oily fatty fish, orange and green colored vegetables, and orange fruit, as well as liver. The next nutrient slides list starts with the B vitamins. That's your B6, B12, and folate. And these help in building healthy red blood cells, as our immune system does depend on having enough healthy red blood cells in order to transport oxygen through our bodies and capture pathogens. So B6 are found in fish and meats, whole grain cereal, green leafy vegetables, fruit, tofu, and the skin of the potatoes. Vitamin B12, which is also called cobalamin, is found in animal products and fortified cereals. Your folate, some rich sources are green vegetables, chickpeas, and fortified cereals. Vitamin C is very great at protecting us from harmful oxidation. You'll hear that vitamin C is called an antioxidant, and that makes sense because it's against oxidation, antioxidant. Some studies have shown that it may prevent respiratory infections, and you guys have probably seen in the news that it has helped speed up some COVID recovery when given via IV in the hospital. So you'll see in a couple slides down the road that it is very easy to consume enough vitamin C via foods and foods alone. And it's actually contradicted for the most part to do megadoses of vitamin C that actually might damage cells. So we do want to be getting our vitamin C as much as possible via food sources. Vitamin D is essential for many immunity functions. You've also heard in the last years actually, that deficiencies are associated with greater risk for respiratory infections and worsened COVID-19 outcomes. And then vitamin E is an antioxidant that is rich in nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. So these are some minerals that are important for our immune system. Copper is a mineral antioxidant that's found in beans, nuts, leafy green vegetables, and shellfish. Iron, just like the B vitamins, does aid in making red blood cells and helps our immune system as well. And when we're deficient, our immune system gets compromised. We may get sick a lot more easily. And then the sources are listed there. Selenium may be best known for its protection against viruses specifically. Research shows that deficiencies are associated with chronic disease, infection, and respiratory infections. Zinc, we always hear about this being marketed for immune protection, as it does guard against many types of attacks. And studies show that it may defend against respiratory infections and pneumonia-related mortality. And then the last nutrient here is phytochemicals. So these are the chemicals that are in plants that provides color, odor, and flavor. They function kind of like antioxidants and reduce harmful inflammation. So there's over 10,000 phytochemicals, and this is one reason why it's so important to consume a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, and nuts, because different phytochemicals have different functions in our body and affect the immune system in different ways. So again, if you've been to any of my seminars, you've probably seen this new American plate. It's just a real easy and helpful visual when you're setting up your plate to make sure that you're getting adequately nourished and getting a balanced diet in. And this plate came out of the American Institute of Cancer Research that helps aid in cancer prevention. And so there's 2/3 of that plate is plant foods. So when you hear me say plant-centric or plant-based diet, that doesn't necessarily mean vegan or vegetarian. It just means that we want to emphasize the importance of our plant foods as opposed to making protein the star of the show. So again, it's going to be focusing on foods that are rich in fiber, vitamins, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and that source of protein should be about 3 to 4 ounces. So that's going to be about the size of a deck of cards. And that can be your salmon, your chicken, red meat 2 to 3 times a week, preferably leaner. 2 different types of vegetables, and you want to really make sure that you're varying the types of vegetables again, as so that you're not consuming the exact same types of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients, because you're likely missing something if you're eating broccoli and cauliflower every single night. And then also a healthful serving of a tasty whole grain. And this is another visual that we talk to our patients about frequently. It's called the plate method. It's put out by Sanofi here, this particular handout. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the next page so you can see that there's lots of food options here that can go into different parts of that plate. So what you want to do is, if you're working on weight management, get about a 9-inch plate, so not the huge platters that most of us, myself included, sometimes eat off of. Draw a line down that plate, and you want about half of that plate to be colors, those good non-starchy vegetables, as you see depicted here. And then if you look toward the right, midway through that handout, you'll see the list of the non-starchy vegetables. There's lots of options. You'll want about 1/4 of that plate to be either a starchy vegetable, so your potatoes, pumpkin, squash, green peas, corn, or a whole grain, so brown rice, wild rice, buckwheat, millet, quinoa, anything like that. And then 1/4 of that plate should be a lean protein foods that I mentioned before. And then you'll also see in that left-hand corner, hydration, a low-calorie drink. And so we don't want to be consuming beverages with a lot of added sugar. So sugar-free, low-calorie drink or just water. And then that source of sweetness on that plate is about a 1/2 cup of fruit. And so that's some good phytonutrients and antioxidants there. So we do get this question a lot. Do I need to take a vitamin or an herbal supplement? So for most people, the answer is no. You can, particularly if you're working with a dietitian or you're following the plate method or the AICR plate, it is more than possible to obtain adequate nutrition from a well-balanced, healthy diet. And our bodies are going to absorb and will always prefer nutrients in food form, so eating those good whole foods versus in supplement form. I will say that an exception to this rule is if you're deficient in any type of vitamin or mineral, like we have a lot of patients that are deficient in magnesium or vitamin D or B12, whatever it is, absolutely supplement. That does not qualify as situations where you would not want to use a supplement. So just make sure to check with your dietitian and your doctor regarding supplements. Supplementing beyond what your body needs has been shown not only to not improve immune function, but could potentially be harmful. You want to check for that label for nutrient amounts. So if you see a vitamin and mineral supplement that's 10,000 percent daily value, you're going to want to avoid that. And if you do choose to do a vitamin mineral, you would want to gear more toward 100% daily value rather than the mega doses of any type of vitamin or mineral. So another supplement that our patients ask us about a lot are omega-3 fatty acids. So if you're not consuming a whole lot of salmon, sardines, things of that nature, chia seeds, then you may benefit from omega-3 fatty acid supplement. Um, it is important to remember in regards to supplementation in the US that they are not regulated. So you're going to want to look and make sure that either that NSF, USP label, or the consumer lab label is on your supplements to say that, what is they're saying is in it is actually in it. And that just means that it's third party tested. And again, it's always best to discuss any supplements with your doctor or registered dietitian. And likely, unless you're deficient, you probably don't need one. So this just gives you, for those of you who like goals and numbers, for an adult age 19 to 70, you need about 600 IU of vitamin D a day. Anybody 70 plus needs a little bit more. Wild caught salmon is going to help you to hit that goal. 3.5 ounces provided 988 IU. So salmon as well as wild mushrooms are going to get you there diet wise. But I'll be honest with you, there's not a whole lot of foods that are going to really get you to that goal. So while we definitely want to promote foods, and then also fortified foods as well, like milk, orange juice has some vitamin D in it. You want to try to get about 10 minutes a day in the sun, unless your physician says not to. You can still, of course, please use your sunscreen, but our body produces vitamin D by being out in the sun. So that's a really great way to make sure that you are getting in adequate vitamin D. And this is surprising to a lot of patients in regards to how much vitamin C you need and different types of foods that will help you meet that goal. You'll see here the recommended daily amount for 19 plus females, 75, males a little bit more at 90. And you always think of citrus fruits, like I just need to eat more oranges or drink more orange juice. But if you look down on this list, red bell pepper, green bell pepper, kale, broccoli, only 1 cup of strawberries and a cup of Brussels sprouts all have more vitamin C than an orange. And then just eating 1 serving of any of these will give you 100% of the RDA for vitamin C a day. And so while all these different types of supplements during the winter are doing very well with the vitamin C mega doses, you don't need it. You can easily get it in food. And then as far as zinc goes, this is the specific amount the amount that's needed a day. And then some good sources are going to be your oysters if you eat oysters, but probably more of us eat things like beef and pork, oats, chickpeas, and lentils will help you to meet that goal. So I alluded to this earlier, but for good immunity, it is very important to focus on our gut health, as so much of the immune system is involved in the gut. A large number of bacteria live in what we call the microbiome, which is the gut, and it consists of our intestines, stomach, small intestine, and primarily the colon that helps with our defense system. What you eat is going to play a large role in determining what types of microbes live in your intestines. Varying the types of fruits and vegetables that you eat, whole grains and legumes, that's going to help you create what we call a diverse microbiome, and that's going to strengthen your immune system. And so we want a variety of those types of foods. So some food products, fibers, that is very important is your prebiotics, also your probiotics. Prebiotics, you probably have heard of, is going to be your food for the good bacteria. So it's non-digestible, but it's found in fiber. So again, just eating a variety of fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains is going to give you the prebiotics that you need. And then your probiotics are going to be those good bacteria that keep your immune system strong and keep your gut healthy. And so again, it's found in yogurt with live cultures, kefir, your fermented vegetables, tempeh, sauerkraut, kombucha, kimchi, and miso. So I mentioned this earlier. What about superfoods? So this is a huge marketing ploy to try to get you to buy certain powders, certain, fruits and vegetables in bulk, that kind of thing. But in reality, there's no such thing. There is no legal definition of a superfood. There is nothing that makes one food superior to another. Um, we know that all, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, and nuts are part of a healthful, healthy, balanced diet. And then over consuming one food or food group may actually lead to deficiencies of others. So when you hear superfood, don't believe it. So we've talked a lot about types of foods that we do want to eat, that are good for building up our immune system. So now we're going to switch course to the immune depressing foods. So it's going to lower your immune system. So I did mention before diets that are limited in variety. So even, too much of a good thing is not necessarily good. So eating the same types of fruits and vegetables every single day, that's limited in variety and may potentially lead to immune suppression. Consuming ultra processed foods, so foods with a lot of added sugar, refined grains and starches like white rice, white pasta. That's essentially the fiber has been stripped from those. So like a lot of the prebiotics and things like that. So we want to try to avoid those or limit them as much as possible. Diets that are really high in red meat or processed meat. The American Institute of Cancer Research says that we should be completely avoiding processed meats. So that's going to be your sausage, your bacon, salami, ham, turkey, all those types of things. And then limit your red meats as well. So any diet low in fruits and vegetables, or diets that are high in saturated and trans fat can also lead to immune suppression. So I know that that's hard during Christmas and Thanksgiving and all of that. So it's really all about balance. So if you want a piece of pumpkin pie, please have it, but just try to make sure at Thanksgiving that you're getting in some good fruits and vegetables. I will say that the whole turkey is not what I was referring to as far as processed meats are concerned. So turkey at Thanksgiving is absolutely fine. It's more so that lunch meat that you're going to want to avoid. So say you do get the cold or the flu, some of the symptoms that you may be dealing with in winter illness are nausea and vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, and sore throat. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we should do if we do get sick. The first thing is we want to make sure that we're staying very hydrated. Our bodies are made of 50 to 75% water, so it's going to obviously require lots of water to keep going. Um, there's no validated methods to calculate fluid needs. Even dietitians vary in how they calculate how much fluid a patient needs. A good starting point is 8 ounce cups of water per day, but not sure who came up with that. But many are not getting that much, so that is a good starting point. Another method is estimating about a milliliter of fluid for every calorie of estimated needs consumed. So for most people, it's going to be maybe anywhere from 1,800 to 2,400 calories a day, and even that varies. The average person urinates around 6 to 7 times per day. So if you notice you're starting to urinate less than that, you probably need to increase your fluid intake. And then also really pay attention to that urine color. You want it to be like a light lemonade color. And if your urine is darker than this, then go ahead and try to increase that fluid intake. And then in the case of vomiting, diarrhea, excessive sweating, anything like that, we are going to want to replete with fluid and electrolytes. Go ahead and pull these all down. So for nausea and vomiting, if you are experiencing this symptom, it's better to consume 5 to 6 small meals a day instead of the 3 large meals a day. For nausea, you never want to be too hungry or too full because both can exacerbate nausea. And I'll tell my patients who are experiencing this to just have some saltines at bedside. And before their feet even hit the floor in the morning, to go ahead and eat 2 or 3 to just get a little bit of something on their stomach, as stomach acid has been building up all night. And that can be helpful. And then also begin to hydrate early on in the day. Sipping on clear liquids as often as possible after vomiting to prevent dehydration. Rule of thumb, after every bout of vomiting or diarrhea, it is good to consume about an 8-ounce glass of electrolyte-containing fluids. So that could be something like BioLite or Pedialyte, something of that nature. But at the very least, make sure that you're drinking water. Keeping your mouth very clean can be helpful. Eating bland foods, cheese and crackers, a peanut butter sandwich instead of foods that are very sweet, fatty, greasy, or spicy can help. Dry foods that don't smell, and then trying to avoid strong odors. If somebody's cooking in the kitchen, make sure that you're out of that kitchen. If a friend or family member can grill for you when you're having nausea, then even better to just cook outside so you'll be able to eat and get strong again. Oops, hold on. And then for constipation, again, hydration is important in all of these symptoms. Consuming a lot of liquids, anything that's warm, so that cereal, warm juice, warm apple juice, warm prune juice is going to help stimulate your bowels, so that can help out a lot, or even just hot water. Fluids that are liquid at room temperature will also contribute toward your fluid needs as well. So if you want to do popsicles, frozen ice pops, that can help with constipation too. Eating foods that are high in insoluble fiber, so your salads, raw vegetables, things like that can help with constipation, as well as prunes, fruit with the skin, all of that can be helpful to get that fiber intake going. And as much as possible, if you can move around when you're not feeling well, that can also help get your bowels moving. So diarrhea, we want to be avoiding the high fat and spicy foods. It may be better to choose some lower fiber or bland foods or foods that are higher in soluble fiber like oats or bananas. Sipping on broth and sports drinks, again, to help replenish electrolytes. Again, adding bananas, applesauce, and oats, because all of that helps thicken up your stool and helps to decrease that diarrhea. Any sort of artificial sweetener, particularly if you see an ITOL at the end, sorbitol is an example here, that can all exacerbate diarrhea, as well as lactose. You may want to avoid milk while you're having diarrhea, and excessive sugar, and any type of caffeine too. That can all make diarrhea worse. And then any medication that has magnesium could be a culprit for diarrhea. So here's a summary. Just remember that vitamin supplements should not be a substitute for a good, healthy diet, because none of the supplements are going to contain all the benefits of healthful foods. Make sure that you're placing an emphasis on consuming whole grains, a variety of fruits and vegetables, as well as including a healthy protein, lean protein source with each meal, including seafood, particularly things like salmon and tuna, at least twice a week in your diet. Make sure you're getting in those good omega-3 fatty acids, avoiding processed meats and limiting your consumption of red meats to no more than 2 to 3 times a week. Limiting consumption of highly processed foods, sugary foods, added fats, starches and sugars, as well as limiting your consumption of sugar-sweetened drinks, and then also avoiding alcohol consumption.
Thank you, Blair. I wanted just to say thank you for providing that great information. It was extremely helpful. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank y'all for joining me.
Thank you for joining Cancer Support Community Atlanta for this program. If you're interested in other live or recorded programs, please visit the online program tab of our website, cscatlanta.org. Or follow us on Facebook. We'll be sharing additional information on upcoming programs.